going on, everybody? All right, so here it is, the final say of the Benchmade Bugout. Then we're going to go over, all the 10 different categories I was ranking these knives in. But first of all, let's do a little bit of a size comparison with other well-known knives. First off, everybody knows the Paramilitary 2. You can see the Paramilitary 2 is quite a bit larger knife. I mean, each one of these represents an inch, so it's almost an inch longer. Probably not quite, maybe 3/4, but it's pretty close to an inch longer. And you can tell that the handle is a little bit longer. In the hand, I can get a full 4-finger grip on the Bugout, but as you see with the Paramilitary, you actually have quite a bit sticking out of the back of the knife. Next is a pretty common knife that a lot of people have. That is the Rat 2. And you can see the Bugout is kind of in between the Rat 2 and the Paramilitary. And then just for fun, I may throw this in on every size comparison just because I love this knife so much. And that is the Cold Steel 4-Max. So there's your size comparison. I know this is a joke with the 4-Max, but I love the 4-Max so much, I may use it in a size comparison every time I do it, just to show you how it compares to a truly large knife. And of course, you can see there's a lot of handle sticking out of this knife. So let's get these off the table and talk about the Benchmade Bugout just a little bit. Now, I want to say, I've realized since I've been off work that I don't cut as much stuff as I used to. I did open some boxes, cut down some boxes. I did clean the blade up. There was a little bit on the blade, but nothing major, just because I don't, cut as much stuff as I normally do when I'm at my job. So, in a few weeks, I go back to work, so I can truly give you a better, opinion when that happens. But I did carry this knife, and I want to say that this knife really truly hides away in your pocket. It's pretty amazing how small this is, how thin this is, and it just hides in your pocket. So let's get on with the 10 categories that we are going to be talking about. So let me move the knife over just a little bit. Don't want to get it out of screen. But the 10 categories are carryability. Now, I'm not sure all these are words, but they're going to be words on my channel. Practicality, sliceability, edge retention, warranty, materials, weight, cool factor, ease of use, and fidget factor. Fidget factor is actually my favorite one because let's all be serious. We fidget with our knives way more than we probably use them, if I was guessing, most people. So on to the carryability. Let's slide this down. I gave it a 10. This knife, as it comes, is under 2 ounces. But once I put the G10 scales on it, it took it up to like 2.3 ounces. The thing is so thin, has such a deep carry pocket clip, and there's plenty of room in that pocket clip right there to fit in any kind of jeans or cargo shorts or anything you may be carrying. They give you enough room right there to actually fit it over some thick material. But it just vanishes in your pocket and you don't even know it's there. For EDC, this thing is pretty amazing. I guess I would stack this up to a Chris Reeves Sabenza, sort of. I know the Sabenza is a lot more expensive knife, but it has a lot of the same characteristics as far as the size. The weight's a little more on a Sabenza, and I actually thought about doing a video showing how to take one of these and make a cheap Sabenza. Cheap relative to the Sabenza cost, that is. But the carryability of this knife is amazing. I mean, it just melts away in your pocket and you basically forget you even have it. Even with like basketball shorts or something like that, athletic shorts, it don't bounce around or anything like that. You still, lose it in your pocket. So it gets a 10 for carryability. Practicality, I gave it an 8. And for EDC tasks, which is what this knife is geared toward, it probably deserves a little bit more than that. But practicality, I'm taking the overall practicality of the knife. I don't know if any knife, but maybe 1 or 2 off the top of my head will ever get a 10 in this category, because I'm taking like hard use, tasks, plus normal EDC task, and that's the practicality of the knife, because you never know what you might need to do with your knife. So the practicality of it, you know, if you need a hard use folder one day, this probably isn't going to do as much hard use work as like a Strider or maybe even a Sabenza. But for your everyday, you know, tasks like cutting down boxes and stuff, this is great. And that's why I ranked it an 8, because it is such a good knife. There'll be knives in this category that you all probably won't agree with me on, but this one gets pretty high marks according to how I'm going to judge these knives. Sliceability is a 10. I mean, look how thin this blade is. I mean, it's amazing. This thing comes razor sharp. And I want to say, unlike the Rat 2, it will not shave you. The Rat 2 will not shave you. This thing was stupid sharp right out of the box. Cut everything I needed to, went right through it. No hold-ups, no nothing, just sliced it perfectly. That thin blade is definitely a slicer, so it gets a 10 on sliceability. Edge retention gets an 8. So, you know, it does have S30V steel. I do like S30 and S35, but there are steels that hold their edge better, such as M4 and S10 or 2 that I wrote down. I do have both those that just come in. Actually, my Spyderco here is a S110, and I just got a Gale Bradley 2 in yesterday. That is the M4. Now, the M4 does have some drawbacks, of course. It will rust, but the S110, you know, won't or not as easily, and it does hold its edge better than S30. So it's still got a high mark, but it's not going to hold its edge as well as probably these two will. Next is warranty. I gave it an 8, and you're going to be like, what? This thing has a life sharp. You can send it back and they'll sharpen it for free. Yes, but in their warranty, they say if you disassemble these, that your warranty is voided. Now, of course, I disassembled mine the very day I got it. So I voided my warranty as soon as I took it out of the box. As you can see, this knife works perfect. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no blade play, there's nothing. It is actually better centered now than it was when I got it, because it was biased towards this side of the blade, the non-clipped side of the blade whenever I got it. So it is actually better centered and a better knife now than when they sent it to me, and I voided the warranty by making it a better knife. I get it, some people could take it apart and do something on the inside and screw it up, but I didn't. I have a video where I took it apart, and they plainly see I didn't mess anything up, but it still voids the warranty, and that's why I gave it an 8, even though it is cool that you can send these back at any time and get them sharpened for free. I may take advantage of that, just less I have to do, especially since I'm not carrying these knives every single day. I'll have a new knife basically every week, so I can deal with, you know, I can handle being without my bug out for a week. So materials, I gave it a 5. All right, now you all are going to really blast me for this. And I've got a few reasons on why I did that. I hated the scales that came with this knife. They felt cheap to me. They might have been okay, but you could squeeze them, and I'm squeezing these pretty hard, and they'll move a little bit, but nowhere near what the factory scales were. Those factory scales are horrible. Now, yes, Benchmade is just now offering G10 scales on their blades. You can actually order them from Blade HQ. My cousin just ordered one of these from Benchmade. You can customize G10 scales from Benchmade and get them any color, get back spacers any color. You can make that knife any way you want it. But up until now, they've not been doing that. And I know S30 is a good steel, and I really like it, but there are better steels out there. And that's why I gave this knife a 5, mainly because of the scales. The scales are horrendous, in my opinion. It makes the knife feel so cheap. $39 for these was the best purchase I've ever made for the Benchmade, I will tell you, or for a Bugout, I will tell you that. So next is weight. Of course, it gets a 10. This thing weighs nothing. Even with these scales, it literally weighs nothing. 2.3 ounces with the G10 scales, and I think that is just perfect for this knife. I almost think that when it comes in, it's actually too light, in my opinion. I think that it actually needed to be a little bit heavier, and once I added these scales, I think it was basically perfect. So it gets a 10 for that, and I know a lot of people like light knives, and a lot of people probably like the factory scales. They just wasn't for me. But for weight, even before that, it's how can you not give it a 10 for something that's under 2 ounces or now just barely over 2 ounces? Like I said, it melts away in your pocket. You don't even know it's there. Cool factor, I'm going to give it an 8. And the only reason I'm telling you I'm giving it an 8 is because the Benchmade Bugout is a very, very iconic knife. Any knife person, when you pull out a Benchmade Bugout, is going to know what it is. And I gave it an 8, but because of that same reason, it could have been a lower score. I went with the higher end of the score because I could have said, yeah, everybody knows what it is and it's boring. But I didn't. I didn't go that route. I went the opposite direction on the fact that when you pull this out of your pocket, everyone is probably going to recognize what this is if they're a knife person, and they're going to know immediately it's a Bugout. And if you do different scales and customize it just a little bit, that makes it even more cool. So it doesn't get top honors, but it gets a very high mark. And top honors probably kept it from there just because, like I said, some people's going to think it's boring because there's nothing really special about it. It's still a Bugout, but everyone knows what a Bugout is. Ease of use. And this is like your pocket clip and your, you know, how well it comes in and out of your pocket. I do want to say, if you look right here, the only reason it got an 8 is because these screws aren't recessed. Now, they're not recessed in the factory scales or anything like that either. And if you have a thick pocket, this can catch on it a little bit. Now, they give you plenty of room in here, like I said before, to fit it in a thicker pocket pant. But if they would have recessed these screws a little bit, it would have made it even better. But the thing does open, well, that was a fail. The thing does open really well. It's one of the easiest knives to shut. You can actually spider flip it or spider code flip it, reverse flip it if you want to. You can actually open it. Well, it's hard to do this on camera, but you can open it like that. You don't even have to touch it. But ease of use is very, very high. Like I said, one of the main things I docked it for is just because they didn't recess these screws. This is a $150 knife, basically, without the scales. And you think they could have recessed those just a little bit. In my opinion, that's just my opinion, but I would have recessed them if it had been me making it. Fidget factor, last one. Of course, that is a 10. It's 10. The first 2 days I had this knife, from sitting here fidgeting with it, breaking it in and stuff like that, I had my thumb so sore that I just had to stop because I literally couldn't flip it anymore. My thumb was just so sore. It's so fun to just fidget with and mess around and flip back and forth. The knife is awesome. And that's probably, once this is over now this week and I start another knife, this will be one of my favorite fidget knives that I own. That and probably this Spyderco. I've always loved Para 2s for fidgeting. But between those two, those will be the knives I probably fidget with the most until I buy some OTF, like a Microtech or something. And then that'll probably become the new fidget knife because who doesn't like an OTF? But to fidget with one of these is awesome. They're great fidget knives. They're fun. Just be careful that you don't get your finger in front of the blade when you're shutting it, because it will shut pretty fast. And just make sure you don't get your finger in front of it and smack the end of your finger. I didn't do that. That's just a warning. Don't do that. So here's all 10 scores, and it's best of 100, and it scored an 85. An 85 for a small knife this thin is going to be a pretty good score for me. Because like I said, I really, really like large folders. I just really like large folders. I always have. And I tried to go into this with unbiased opinions about small knives. This is a great knife. I really like it. Love it with those slate blue scales and the gray blade. I think that's great accent, and it looks well with each other. It just seems to fit the knife. This is an awesome knife, and I think that's a really good score, especially from a guy that likes large folders, and I'm trying to be unbiased. I think that's a fair score for the Bugout. The Sabenza will probably score more once I do it, but I think that's a pretty good score for this small knife. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Do you think that's a fair score? Is there any one of these scores you would change? I'm sure a lot of you own Bugouts, and I'd be curious to know. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.